LTU Sports Report is brought to you by the City of Southfield, the center of it all, and Hungry Howie's, famous for flavor.
Hey LTU fans, thanks for checking out another episode of LTU Sports Report. I'm your host, Dylan Morello, and today we're featuring more strength and conditioning tips from Coach Brian Whiting. I did a spotlight interview with our cross-country coach. We've got student-athlete interviews, some football highlights, and so much more. Right now, let's chat with recent LTU grad Meredith Adams and hear what her experience was like playing softball at Lawrence Tech.
I'm Meredith Adams. I was majoring in biomedical engineering, and I just graduated in the spring semester of the 2020. I really liked the campus. There wasn't a team because my year was the first year of softball, so I pretty much just met with Coach Ball and I think Coach Jackie, who was the assistant coach at the time. But she took me on a tour of the campus, took my mom and I around Southfield. I actually came right after a softball tournament, so we ran around, saw where we'd be practicing, things like that. So it was really nice to see how well she had things kind of planned out for us to come in and start the program and see the plans she had for when we started the program. My major was biomedical engineering, so it's so closely tied with softball. We did projects where we analyzed people's swings, and that was our big presentation in class. And Coach Barrett even came in for one of our presentations because we were doing swing mechanics. And so I think it translated so well that I was able to understand things in softball better because of my classes. I guess I could use as a point of study for my material. And also, as you said, time management is a huge thing when you're doing academics. I think I'm going to remember my teammates, the times we had singing and dancing on the bus, the times we had top 20 in the nation in softball for NAIA. And so I think it's just those little moments you remember. Towards the end of my freshman year, I realized just through my classes, things like that, medicine's really where my heart was set. The flexibility of everyone at LTU and allowing me to kind of change my path then that way, it helped me get to where I am today. I think without that kind of flexibility and those people helping me along, they're pushing me to kind of go for my dreams is what got me to where I am today.
It's time now to get off the couch and start working out. Coach Brian Whiting makes it easy to work out from home in this week's strength and conditioning segment.
All right, today I literally have a backpack full of firewood. A lot of different things you can do with this. I can overhead press it. I can row it. Throw it on my back, squat. Or I can even lunge. Lots of different things you can do. Challenge your bodies physically to make your workouts harder, and challenge your minds to be more creative to make your workouts harder. Get after it.
Coming up next is my chat with LTU cross-country coach Eric Green to get his take on what the upcoming season will look like. We heard that the cross-country season kind of has been pushed back from fall to spring. So how do you as a coach really deal with that? And what are the precautions that you guys are taking? What's happening with practices and meets?
That's the beauty of it. They haven't even told us when our conference or national meet is for cross country in the spring. And of course, the issue with that is that that's going on during track season. All my kids are track athletes, so it's how are they going to be able to do that, scheduling that as well as, both sports. We're still able to practice. We can't have any competitions, so it makes it difficult for me to have these kids doing all this training and not being able to race against other kids. A big problem is that a lot of these kids, they didn't have a track season last year, so a lot of these kids haven't competed for over a year. In fact, a lot of the freshmen I got coming in, since their schools were canceled in March, they had nothing to do, so I actually have been coaching them since March when I really don't start coaching them until June.
No, yeah, definitely a lot of challenges. It seems like you have a lot on your plate. Good you're working with them. We talked about the season and how that'll be changing with COVID-19. You just mentioned the freshmen. We're wondering if recruiting has changed.
My recruiting went really, really well this year. I've got 9 freshman guys coming in, and I've got 3 freshman girls, and I only have 4 guys returning on the guys' side and 3 girls on the girls' side. I have a very, very young group, and I haven't had this young of a group since back in the days when we first started the program. So I'm real excited with these kids.
So you're also a coach of the track and field team. Just take it through, how do you think their season's going to be, their complement of players, and what you expect from them?
Well, Coach Tate's the head coach, and I'm his assistant, but I'm going to be in charge of the mid-distance runners and distance runners. He has some sprinters that come in that he knows a little bit more of, but I know he's relying a lot on my kids in cross country because a lot of them are stronger in track than they are cross country. So we're basically going to be scoring a lot of points for his team, and it's going to be my job to make sure that they're going to be prepared for whatever race he wants these kids to run. But like I said, what's going to be the kicker is that if they're moving this to the spring, we have an indoor track season and an outdoor track season. So, and the weather in the spring is not as good as it is in the fall. And we're not even sure if indoor track's going to go this year. We were hoping that we would have a cross-country season, and, we're not. So, we'll see what happens with track.
Yeah, everything's still up in the air, but say everything does go well, both seasons are played accordingly. What are some season goals you have, either for yourself, the coaching staff, or for your squads in general?
For the cross-country squad, and I just hope that I can still motivate them to still be training since they've trained for so long. I have a schedule of what we're doing for the whole season. We're going to stick with that schedule. On the days we were supposedly going to have meets, we're going to go to certain areas, and we're pretty much going to have an inter-squad time trial. I know I have a lot of freshmen that haven't met each other, so they're really looking forward to having somebody to train with because a lot of them have been training on their own. So that's a good motivator. And like I said, I've got a handful that are more track runners than cross country, but they like cross country because that keeps them in shape for track.
That's awesome. Well, looking forward to it, even though it is pushed back. Looking forward to seeing everybody get out there and run and compete for LTU. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Let's take a look back at some football highlights from their 2019-2020 season. Now we're going to shift gears from athletics as we have an interview with Marge Ashton, an award-winning indie game developer and the director of game design at Lawrence Tech.
Thank you so much. We're actually so excited to have you on the show, being that you are such an insane gamer at heart, really. I mean, by playing video games and then actually designing them. So I wanted to jump right in and ask you about your new game that you've created, Flux, which I believe is available on Steam.
Yeah, it's available on Steam and itch.io. It was also a part of it's the bundle for racial justice and equality.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Very honored to have that game in there. Yeah, proud of that game.
So tell us like a little bit about the gameplay and the whole dynamic of it.
Well, it's built in Flash, which is a bit of a dated engine at this point. Another proud point, but the game is all about playing out this role as a courier, kind of a mercenary for hire, and you take on a variety of odd jobs. But each day, this story unfolds through text messages between the player character and their girlfriend, and you find out a lot more about the world and all of the characters. And it's really a deep dive into this world that I've created. A couple of the games that I've built, a lot of color, a lot of glam rock, like 80s hairstyles and stuff.
Amazing. So then I guess briefly touch on what your role is over at Lawrence Tech and what your involvement is in the gaming scene over there. So
I'm an assistant professor of game design. The program was called Game Art, but we had renamed it. So I've kind of been, curriculum lead, really. I've been a teacher at LTU for 8 years now, which is wild. So when it comes to course content and recommending, talent to come in and teach the courses, I'm the person for that. I've also been leading a lot of, faculty liaison type roles with student organizations. So the esports stuff I've helped out with, Anime Club and Art Shop and all these game-oriented or game-relevant clubs. And then again, as faculty, helping student leadership take on these roles for the LTUX, annual conference, which obviously wasn't held, this year, but we'll be talking about ways of, holding it virtually, I think, next year. I mean, anybody checking this out, like the games industry is such a unique industry in the sense of like that everybody comes into it or with ideas, they want to, they're so inspired by the games that they've played, and then oh man, what if, I've got this, what if you could do this and you could do that. Like, there are so many free resources available. I tell prospective students all the time, like, technically, if you sat down and, knew where to go and knew the videos to watch and all of these resources that all of these game engines and companies release, you can just make it on your own, through self-teaching. It takes a lot of discipline, and of course the college provides a structure, it provides the networking opportunities and a lot of other things that are beneficial. A lot more guidance, of course, but it's this like entrepreneur friendly, self-driven thing. And I mentioned, it being this medium, this art form of expression. And more than ever now, with the way that things are, I feel like people are paying more and more attention to these obscure pieces of art that are games. If you're interested in just writing, you're interested in just, telling a story, or, you're just interested in mechanics, like there's a place for all of these different types of games. But if you want it to be super successful and be that, I want to make a game and make millions, you're going to need marketing, you're going to need to know the right people, but if financial success is not your thing, it's a really great, fun, easy thing to get into, hobby-wise, or, kind of a side thing that can, for a lot of people, including, some of the instructors that we have and some of the most successful people in our community and in the industry, they had a day job and then did this on the side, and then it became so lucrative, that all of a sudden, they're leaving a company like King, Candy Crush and stuff, and then building Minecraft, So, yeah, kind of a little pro tip for everybody. If anybody is watching and interested and, not really sure what's going on, I'm always available. I'm Ashton at ltu.edu to answer questions.
For our last segment on the show, let's check in with Coach Brian Whiting as he takes us through another conditioning routine.
Going for a bike ride today to get some conditioning in with a little twist. Every half mile, I'm gonna do 10 overhead presses and 10 squats. I got a bike partner right next to me. COVID-19 is not stopping me. Is it stopping you?
That's all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you're craving even more sports-related content, then you know the drill. Go follow us on social media at LTU Athletics. I'm Dylan Morello. Be sure to tune in next week for more great videos right here on the LTU Sports Report.